Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
So last class we were discussing about the protein crystallization, right? Crystallography project and protein crystallization. So we saw like some of the things, basic things about like crystallography and crystallization. All right. So the main important thing is that the protein should be soluble. Okay. So if the protein is not soluble, then it is very difficult to crystallize the protein. Okay. And is there any protein that is not soluble? Can anybody say? Yes. So generally, globular protein are like soluble. You take membrane protein. Okay. Membrane protein are not soluble. It is because they are mostly having hydrophobic residues. Okay. So if you put normal solvents, okay, you are purifying membrane proteins and you are trying to solve trying to use some solvent, normal solvents, okay, then the membrane protein will precipitate because all the hydrophobic amino acid will club together and it will precipitate. Okay, so normally globular proteins are soluble, whereas membrane proteins are not soluble. So in case of membrane protein, you have to use detergents. Okay, so the detergents will help to make membrane protein, okay, as a soluble part. Okay, so the detergent will increase the solubility of the membrane protein. Okay, so we saw what is meant by salting in, what is meant by out. Okay, so all those things that we saw in like last classes, and so there are number of factors that you have to play around. Okay, so in order to find out like a suitable condition for the protein crystallization. So here is the phase diagram which will explain you about the crystallization process of membrane protein. Okay, so here is your parameters that you are going to adjust, like increasing the temperature, okay, from the zero, right, from like whatever, like very cold temperature. Okay, so you have to increase the temperature, and then you increase the salt concentration, ionic concentration, right? So increase the pH, so whatever, and then protein concentration also from here you can keep on increasing. Okay, so at certain point when these parameters, the suitable concentration is matching, okay, so you will have like a different condition. All right, so you see here it is like under saturation condition. So here nothing will happen, the protein will be just soluble. It is not going to precipitate or it's not going to crystallize. It's like a just soluble because saturation is not achieved. So nothing will happen. Okay. So here you have the metastable zone. Okay, it is like a supersaturation point. It is the point where it is going to begin the supersaturation, and then you have the nucleation zone. So most probably you will have the crystals around this area. Okay, so this one to attain this condition, okay, you have to try several parameters, several conditions. So this will vary with protein to protein. Okay, some protein will crystallize in pH 5 or pH less than pH 5 also. So some protein will crystallize pH 9, pH 10, pH 6, right? So it depends upon the nature of the protein. Okay, so some protein will crystallize at a very low salt concentration, just like 100 millimolar salt or like 50 millimolar salt, right? In some cases, you have to add more amount of salt. Okay, so it depends upon the protein. And again, like protein concentration also will vary. So some protein will be readily crystallizable at a very low concentration, like 1 mg, 2 milligram per ml, or like 3 milligram per ml. Some protein it will require like 10 milligram per ml or 15 milligram per ml. Okay, so all these things, all these conditions, whatever, whether it's like a protein concentration or the like parameters, okay, it depends upon the nature of the protein. Okay, nature, size of the protein. All right. So zone 1, metastable zone, the solution may not nucleate for a long time, but this zone will sustain growth. Okay, so this is the zone 1. So it is frequently necessary to add a seed crystal. So in case your protein is not like growing, okay, so it is, you are getting some nucleation. So the nucleation will be like very very smaller, tinier uh, crystals. Okay, so you have to see everything, even like a large crystal also you have to see through the microscope only. Okay, the nucleating point will be is almost invisible, right? Maybe like you will get sometimes like what is that, uh, very very thin crystals. Okay, so what you have to do, take those thin crystals and break it into smaller pieces, just dip into this. Okay, dip into your crystallization solution. All right, so if it is in a metastable zone, okay, so this, whatever that you are dipping will act like a seed, and then from the using the seed it will start to grow. Okay, so zone 2, it is nucleation zone. Okay, so protein crystal nucleate and it will grow. And the third zone, do not nucleate but precipitate. Okay, so here everything is more, your salt concentration, everything, right? So the salt concentration, everything is more, like protein concentration is also like very more. So it will start to precipitate. So sometime when you do the crystallization, if you see like precipitate in your protein drop. Okay, so what you have to do, either you have to decrease the protein concentration or you have to decrease the salt concentration over here. So like that you have to adjust the parameters and then try to attain like a super saturation curve, and try to have like a better crystal. All right, so adding single molecules to the surfaces of the nucleating lattice. So in the crystallization process, so here is like an imaginary construct. Okay, so in the crystallization process, what you are trying to do is you are trying to reduce the solubility, right? You are trying, so you have increased the solubility, you have put like lot of solvent. Okay, so when super saturation occurs, you are trying to pull out the solvent from the channels of the protein. So during that process, so all the protein molecules will try to club together. So when these protein molecules try to club, they will have like a proper packing by means of intermolecular interactions. So there will be lot of interaction among like each molecules which are surrounded by like several protein molecules. So so it will form a ordered layer. Okay, so the molecules will form like a ordered layer. So through the, for this layer, the molecules will be keep on added one by one. Okay, so several layers will form, and finally you will get like a very nice crystal. Okay, so remember, so during this process, during this nucleating nucleating period. Okay, so as I told you, the molecules will try to form a uniform layer. So in this condition, you should not disturb the crystallization plate. Okay, in fact, the crystallization plate wherever that you are keeping. Okay, you might keep in a desk or in a table or in your working bench wherever. Okay, so in that place you should give less vibration. You should not have like any vibration, any mechanical disturbance. Otherwise, what will happen? So when these layers are formed, the layers will not be uniform. So, so one layer will be lying in one direction, another layer that is forming on top of that will be in another direction. So next layer will be forming in another direction. So each layer will will be in a different orientation. So what will happen in that case? You will form the crystal. The crystal will grow, but the crystal is having multiple layers which are misoriented. So if you have like a misoriented crystal, there is no use of that because the layer is not uniform. Okay, well, if only if you have like a uniform layer. Okay, that is what we are calling like a single crystal. Okay, only if you have like a uniform layer that is suitable for X-ray diffraction. All right, guys, do you follow me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you don't understand, you should stop me because all these are like a theoretical aspects. Okay, because I don't have like a whiteboard here and I cannot draw the things to make you understand. All right. So if you don't understand, just stop me and ask. Okay. So if the crystal, if you do not have a single crystal, so what will happen? You put the crystal on the X-ray beam, you will have the diffraction pattern. But the thing is, the diffraction pattern will not be useful. Okay, but in case of single crystal, if the layers, okay, the protein layers are like uniform, you will have a diffraction pattern. Okay, so those diffracted spots will be like easily distinguishable, and you can uh, do the reverse Fourier for that. Whereas the crystal which is not having like uniform layer, the diffraction pattern will not be easy to distinguish, and you will not be able to reduce the data. All right. So these things that so you should understand. So when you grow the crystal, okay, so you should have no vibration. You should keep the plate in a vibration-free environment. All right. So here you can see like there are nearly like 7 factors which affect the crystallization of the proteins listed here. So one is the purity of the protein. So as I told you earlier, so you require at least like a 95 percentage of like purified protein. Okay. So when you run the gel, okay, you should see only single band, which is corresponds to your molecular weight, which is corresponds to your protein. If you see like double band, if you see triple band, there is no use of crystallizing that protein. Okay, because it is a contaminant. You have some, not only your protein, you have some other proteins as well. So what will happen when you have like a contaminant? So it will be a competition between these two proteins. All right. So it will be a competition between these two protein, and you will not get like a protein crystal. All right. So the purity is like very important. Right. So how to avoid the second band? So that you have to play in the purification protocol. Right? So how you are doing like purification? You will do like either FPLC or HPLC, whatever. Some column chromatography you will be using, like a gel filtration chromatography, ion exchange, right? Nickel column. So all these things, affinity column, all these like hydrophobic column chromatography. So all these column. So which is suitable for your protein, that you have to find out. Okay, so you have like a two different protein on your gel. The molecular weight is like molecular weight is having like a lot of difference, right? All right. So if you have like a large molecular weight difference, you can go for gel filtration chromatography, right? So gel filtration chromatography is what? It is separating protein based on the molecular weight, right? So based on the molecular weight, if you have like a molecular weight difference, right? Like a large difference, you can easily separate these two proteins using gel chromatography. Gel filtration chromatography. All right. If the molecular weight is like very much close, just 1 kilodalton is difference, then you cannot use the gel filtration chromatography. Instead, you can use ion exchange chromatography. So definitely, the ionic charge between these two proteins will be differing. Are we all right? So there will be definitely difference between the charge of, right, what is it, the isoelectric point will be different for both these protein. So based on the charge, you can use the ionic column chromatography, and you can easily separate. Or otherwise, if you know the affinity of this your protein, you can use the affinity column also, right? So depending upon your like the nature of the protein, you can choose any of these column chromatography and then attain the like very high purity. All right. And so after running the column chromatography, again you have to check by what? Gel, right? By running STS gel, right? So again in the gel, you should see only single band, all right? Otherwise, there is no point trying crystallization, all right? So you should have like a homogeneity. Okay, the protein solution should not be heterogeneous, all right? So after doing like purification, right? So there is chance of proteolysis. So your protein may undergo like proteolysis, right? What will happen in that case? Your protein will be fragmented. So it will become like a two fragment, three fragment, or multiple fragments. So you have to avoid the proteolysis. Okay, then you have to avoid the oxidation of cysteine residues. Okay, and then you have to be careful about like asparagine or glutamine, okay, glutamate, aspartic acid, because these amino acids are tend to like amidation. Okay, and then post translational modification. All right, so and then it is possible to become like a oligomer. Okay, so if you keep the protein for longer period, the protein will become like a dimer or trimer or tetramer. So again, once the protein become like a oligomer, again it will give you a lot of problem for doing crystallization. So there are like several problems which you can face for attaining the pure protein. So all these factors that you have to take into consideration and to get like a highly pure protein. Okay. So the second thing is like protein concentration. Okay. So the protein concentration, so generally people always suggest you need like 10 milligram per ml. Okay, at least 10 mg per ml concentration you require. It's like a thumb of fruit, right? Because like the several proteins, right? So far, like several proteins, it is crystallized around this concentration. Okay, so generally people will suggest to have like 10 milligram per ml concentration. Okay, but some protein it may require higher concentration than 10 milligram as well. Right, and some protein it may crystallize just in 1 milligram concentration as well. All right, so all these things it depends upon the nature of the protein, how it is packing, how it is getting like attaining like a supersaturation condition. It depends upon the protein. So generally people will start from 10 milligram per ml concentration and then and then finally they will attain like a suitable concentration where the protein is not precipitating. So from there they will do the screening. All right. So protein concentration is like another factor which decides the crystallization. Okay. So how to do the protein concentration? So there are like several kits available, like Bradford assay. All right. So you can do this assay, or you can take the protein and you can check the UV spectrophotometer. Right. So you can go to the UV spectrophotometer and you can find the optical OD of your protein, right? And from that you can use the Beer-Lambert's law and you can find out the concentration of your protein. All right. So there are like several ways that you can find out the protein concentration. And then the third is so finding the like initial condition. Okay. So the main point is to know what your starting conditions are for purposes of reproducibility. Okay. So initial condition you should keep a record. Okay. So otherwise it's difficult to do the crystallization. So once you know the initial condition, all right. So if you want to reproduce the crystal, all right, so you can go back and you can start from that point. Otherwise, right, it's very difficult. You have to start from very beginning, okay, which is going to take like another couple of years. All right. So this is like the initial condition that you have to uh, like very careful, and then like precipitating agent. Okay, there are like several salts available. Like here I have listed like very uh, limited, which are most probably used. Okay, apart from these several salt reagents are available. All right, so ammonium sulfate, sodium chloride, potassium phosphate. All right, so several salts are there. So again, the solubility will vary depending upon the salt. So whichever salt is suitable for your protein, okay, whichever salt is helping your protein to go for supersaturation, that you have to find out. Okay, so don't think like always ammonium sulfate will help you, always sodium chloride will help you. Not like that. So the protein is selecting the salt. Okay, so you have to screen the salt, which salt is suitable. And then reagents, organic solvents, right? Methyl pentadiol, isopropanol, ethanol, all right? So butyl alcohol. So which solvent is suitable for your protein? So that you have to find out. And then what is the concentration? Which concentration is good enough for your protein? So from the beginning, you have to find out. And then PEG is there, polyethylene glycol, PEG is there, PEG 200, 300. So all these things that you have to find out from the beginning. Okay, so maybe you can start from like very low concentration, right? As I told you, like 50 millimolar, 60 millimolar, 100 millimolar, 150 millimolar, and you can keep on increasing slowly. And you are finding like the protein is precipitating between like 200 to 300 millimolar. So what you can do, you can try the maximum of 300. From the 300 you can keep on reducing. Okay, so you can say try like 290 millimolar, 280 millimolar, 270, 260, 250, like that you can keep on reducing. So now you will find out very easily, right? So where the precipitation is very lower. Suppose you have like very less precipitate around like 250 millimolar means, then you can set up the condition within 200 to 250 millimolar, right? So like that you have to screen the entire parameter, all right? So this I am telling you about uh, like a precipitating agent. So same thing, like a same manner, you have to try with pH also. All right. So some protein may crystallize at very high pH or even low pH. So which pH is suitable? So you have to do the pH screening also. All right. So all these things I told you. Okay. Then temperature. Okay. So some protein may crystallize at very low temperature, like 15 degree, 10 degree, or 5 degree, even 1 degree. All right. Or some protein will crystallize normal room temperature also. So it depends upon, like again, the nature of the protein. Okay. So again, you have to try at different temperature. Crystallization that you have to try with different temperature. At whichever temperature that you are getting crystal, that you have to find out, right? And then I told you like a pH, and then additives. Okay, so sometimes you may increase the stability of your protein and or the homogeneity of its conformation by having relevant additives. Okay, so you can add like detergents, so reducing agents, substrates, cofactors, and so many things that you can add as additives, so which will support your uh, crystallization, right? So then you are trying all these factors, all right? So again, you are not getting crystal. So what will you do? All right. Sometimes you have like a very pure protein, all right? Pure protein, you have tried like almost like several conditions. So how to do this like several screening? So there are like commercially available buffers are there. All right. So several companies are available now. So they have like different buffers which is made up of like with varying condition. Okay, you don't, right, nowadays you don't need to prepare the buffer with different pH, different salt concentration. So everything is readily available. So you can do the screening of thousands of conditions with commercially available buffers. All right. So nothing is coming. What will you do? Right. So the crystallization. So it will happen like this, right? So sometimes the protein will not crystallize at all. So again, you have to go back to the cloning. From the cloning, you have to start it again. So you have to make a new construct. You have to make some mutants, all right, or you have to make some complexes, all right, protein complex with like some substrate or with like some other proteins, all right, or you have to try crystallization of like some homologous protein. So, so the crystallization process is not that easy. Okay, that so some protein will readily crystallize. All right, some protein it will adamant to do the crystallization. So in that case, you have to try various conditions. So as long as you have like a very challenge, okay, as long as you have like a tough challenge, your life will be better. All right. So don't think like easily crystallizable protein will not help you. That also will help you. All right. So nothing is going to waste in crystallography. All right. All right. So finally, I told you already that crystallization of membrane protein. All right. So here, like there are like a different methods available. That is cubic phase method and crystallization with like FAB fragments. All right. So so I told you you have to have like a single crystal. All right. So during like crystallization, you should develop a single crystal. All right. So what do you mean by single crystal? So the single crystal means you will have like a uniform layer, all right? But in case of multiple crystals, it will form multiple layers, all right? So in the multiple layers, the protein molecule will not be having same orientation. So each layer will have like a different orientation, and as a result, the diffraction pattern will not be easy to interpret, will not be easy to reduce the data. So this you can find out like atomic force microscopy. All right. So so you see here like this is like one layer and this is another layer. So what will happen? So you will take this crystal. So this is called like mosaicity or twinning. Okay. So if you have like a twinning, like multiple crystals are formed. All right. So what will happen? You will have like a diffraction pattern like this. All right. So here you can see. So the diffraction pattern is from two layers. Right. So only if you have like one layer, you will have the diffraction pattern just like this. You are able to see that, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Students.
Yes, sir.
So here I just doing zoom, okay, so that you can easily see that. All right. So here you can see if you have like a crystal only just like a uniform layer just shown on like a black color here, you will have a very nice diffraction pattern like this. Or else if you have like only layer just like the red one, so you will have a diffraction pattern like this. So you see like two diffraction pattern it is having two different orientation. Yes or no? Do you see these are like two differently oriented pattern? Come on,
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Yes, sir.
So these are like two differently oriented because the orientation of the crystal is like that. Okay, assume like these are like two separate crystal. If you have like two separate crystal, you will have diffraction pattern like this as per their nature of orientation. But if you have like a single crystal which is combined, these two layers are combined. So what will happen? So these two diffraction pattern will be combined like this. All right. So here you can see. So this is the diffraction pattern from the twinned crystal, or like two different layers like together, right? So here it will be, if you have only this or only this, you can reduce the data. But if you have a data like this, okay, so the diffraction spots here, which is like a two different orientation, are very close to each other, it will be very difficult to reduce. All right. So here I have shown you only two layers, only the diffraction pattern of just two layers. Assume a crystal of like this, where each layer is having like a different orientation. All right. So each layer is tilted very slightly, right? So you can see like individual tilt in each layer. When you have a crystal like this, and the diffraction pattern will be just like this, the mosaicity will be like too much, and you cannot like reduce the data as it is. All right. Or else, like if you have like a twinning like this, at least, okay, so where you have like one layer in one direction, another layer is rotated to 90-degree. So what will happen? So you will have like a pattern like this. One corresponds to this one, and another is like a rotated 90-degree. So at least this may be like a convoluted, but this is again very challengeable. All right. So twinning is like very challengeable. So you should avoid the twinning. Okay. So if you have like a twinned crystal, it's better to stop the project. All right. And better to start the crystallization from the beginning, because twinning will not give you any useful data. All right. So then you have to go back from the beginning. All right. So so far I have discussed you about like um, the phase diagram of the crystallization process. So where you will get like a supersaturation, all right, where you will have like a nucleation. So what could be the condition? Then how the crystal is growing, right? So what are the factors that are affecting the crystallization condition? So how to play with these conditions? So all these things that we have seen right now. All right. So then I have discussed about like mosaicity of the crystal. All right. So finally we have like different methods of crystallization. All right. So what I will do is I will stop here. So we will see the different methods of crystallization in like next class. Right. So if you have like any doubts right now, whatever that I have taken so far, so you can ask. Otherwise, we will stop the class.
Uh, Sir, it is just request, sir. Could you please send any review article so that we could read in more detail?
Yeah, I will give you the materials. All right.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah, I will say you can read all these things in one book. Okay. I think I told you already, Brandon and Tools. Okay. So the Brandon and Tools complete book is covering your syllabus. All right.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.